Hey class. All right, here's your first lesson online. We're going to talk about fractions. So today we're going to just kind of introduce and review fractions divided into fair shares and then adding and subtracting fractions. So to review fractions, just the basics, remember that a fraction is a part of a whole. So on the top of the fraction, we call that the numerator, and on the bottom, we call that the denominator. The numerator is part, and the denominator is the whole. So we read this fraction as 4/6. And you can see some diagrams here. Notice that 4/6 is 4 parts out of 6 total. So there's a couple different representations. We call those parts fair shares. The 4 shaded parts of 6 equal parts. So a fraction is made up of fair shares. Just like if I said you get half of the candy bar, you get exactly a fair share, a half of it, 1 out of 2 of the pieces. Try to make it look fair, okay? So adding fractions that have fair shares, we say that they have common denominators. When adding common denominators, adding fractions is rather easy because you can see, like using this diagram, if you have 2/4 plus 1/4, if you think about that in a picture, you have 2/4 plus 1 more fourth, now you have 3/4. So when you're adding and the denominator is the same, you add the numerators, the top, and you keep the bottom the same. So you add the top, keep bottom the same. So then 4/9 plus 3/9 would be 7/9. Add across the top, the bottom is the same. They must have a common denominator in order to do that. Add across the top, keep the bottom the same. Works with subtraction as well. 3/5 minus 1/5 would be 2/5. 2/3 plus 1/3 would be 3/3. Now if you remember, 3/3, that's the same thing as 1 whole. Because if you have thirds and you have 2/3 plus another third, now you have the whole thing. So if you ate 2/3 of a pizza and then you ate another third of a pizza, now you ate the whole pizza. Fractions that have different denominators make it a little bit trickier. So if we wanted to add, let's say 1/2 plus 1/3, as you can kind of see in this picture, notice that the half is bigger than the third. So how do we do that? We can't put those pieces together. If I said you ate half a pizza and then you ate a third of a pizza, well, how much of the pizza did you eat? Did you eat the whole thing? Did you eat more than the whole thing? So we need a way to make these fractions look the same in order to add them, and that's when we find a common denominator. So here's some fraction strips, and that helps you visualize it. So what does a third and a half have in common? They have a 1/6 in common. So, and the reason that I know that is because if I count by twos, like 2, 4, 6, 8, and I count by threes, 3, 6, 9, etc., I notice that they each have a multiple of 6 in common, which means that you can change a half into 6. 1/2 is the same thing as 3/6, and 1/3 is the same thing as 2/6. Then so instead of 1/2 plus 1/3, you change that into 3/6 plus 2/6. Now that they are the same, and you can see 3 plus 2 is going to give me 5/6. All right, so how do we do that without using the picture? First of all, you need to look at lowest common denominator by finding the multiples of each denominator. So we have 4, 8, 12, list a few common denominators of 4, then list ones of 2. 2, 4, 6. You can actually stop when you have one in common. So 4 is common. So then we're going to change the fractions into common denominators. So 3/4 already has a denominator 4. So that one stays 3/4. But 1/2, I have to multiply by 1, and I want to change it to 4s. So whatever I do to the bottom, I also have to do to the top. So what am I going to multiply by 2 to make it 4? Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 times 2 is 2. So because 2 divided by 2 is the same thing as 1, 1/2 times 1 is still a half. So we're just making the fraction look different. So now I can take 3/4 minus 2/4. Now they have common denominators, and 3/4 minus 2/4 is 1/4. So that is my answer for that one. All right, let's try this one over here. 2/5 plus 1/4. So I'm going to count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. I have 20 in common. 20 is in common of both. So I'm going to change 2/5 times what gives me something over 20. And then 1/4 times something will give me 20ths. So I want to change these into 20ths. So I'm going to start with 5. 5 times 4 is 20, so I have to do the same thing on the top. 2 times 4 is 8. Then I'll do the 4ths into 20ths. 4 times 5 is 20, so 1 times 5 is 5. Now I can replace this fraction for 2/5, and this fraction I'll replace with the 1/4. So now I have 8 over 20 plus 5 over 20, which is 13 over 20. And that would be my final answer for that. Okay, 2/3. This one over here, 2/3 minus 1/9. If you know right away that you can turn 3 into 9, 3 is a multiple of 9, or 9 is a multiple of 3, then you can start with that. So 3, 6, 9, you know it's 9, 18. They both have 9 in common, which means that you do not need to change the 1/9. 1/9 will stay the same. All you need to do is to change 2/3 into 9ths. You do that by multiplying. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 3 is 6. So now they have a common denominator, and it's 6/9 minus 1/9 will give me 5/9. We'll do one more. 6 and 9. So let's see, 6, 12, 18, 24, and then 9, 18, 27. Notice that they both have 18 in common. So I can change 5, 6 times what will give me 18 on the bottom, and 1/9 times what gives me 18 on the bottom. So I'm going to start with 5, 6. 6 times 3 is 18, so whatever you do to the bottom, you always have to do the same thing to the top. So 5 times 3 is 15, because this is like multiplying by 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So then on the bottom, 9 times 2 is 18, so 1 times 2 is 2 on the top. Now you can replace those with your common denominators. So 15/18 plus 2/18 would give me 17/18. And that would be the answer for that one. So I have a few for you to try on your own. I have a couple with common denominators and then a couple without common denominators. Show all of your work, do your best, and then make sure that you use the Share up here to turn back in your assignment to me. You're going to send me the copy of the page. You're going to send it to me with another app. Then you're going to go and you're going to choose Schoology. When you copy it to Schoology, you'll find the assignment that says it should come up with a submit to an assignment, and you should be able to find the assignment that says week 1 fraction and notes practice. So submit that to me when you're done. And then when you see me in class, we'll go over these and we will practice this more.